Good afternoon. This is Norman Graham of On the Spot. This is a special show we're having. We're dealing with the death of Officer Omar Edwards. To my right here, we have Graham Witherspoon. He's a founding member of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, retired detective. We have Carlton Berkley. He's a candidate for the 9th District in Harlem. We've had this discussion with Carlton about 3 weeks ago. Police brutality in his area. He's running for 9th District, Inez Dickens District. We're going to start with Carlton. The last time we talked, brother, you said the police was a problem in your community.
Yes.
Now we got a death of an officer. You take it from there.
Yes, I did say that. And although that didn't happen in my district, it happened in Harlem. And Harlem is Harlem. And it was a shame what happened. And like I was saying before, what happened to Officer Omar Edwards was, I believe, that it goes to the old cliche, unfortunate, that a black man with a gun in Harlem is always the wrong man. And in this case, we know that he wasn't. He was a good guy. And we're hoping that through this investigation, the truth, and only the truth, comes out.
Okay, Brother Graham.
Well, it's a definite pattern, which we've been dealing with here in New York City for more than 60 years. Black police officers have been shot and killed repeatedly by white officers since the 1940s. Even as a matter of fact, there was a police officer who was seriously injured when he was kicked in the groin by the secretary of the President of the United States back in the late 30s when FDR's train was here in New York. And this black officer in uniform was assigned to guard the President's train. And he stopped the man whom he didn't know, and the man Smurr just kicked him and just kept on going. So, you know, black officers, many that I know when I was on the job said they would never work in anti-crime. I worked in plain clothes my entire career, except for about a year and a half or so. But I worked as a plainclothes officer in anti-crime, worked undercover, and then went on to the Detective Bureau as well.
Okay, well, Brother Carlton, we're going to start with you again. I saw you on TV with Sharpton, a few elected officials. There was outrage. This year, I believe Commissioner Kelly was there at that meeting. Was the commissioner?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't there when I was there. But you're right. I did go on with Reverend Al Sharpton, and the reason why I went on was because Kelly gave a press conference that night, and he purposely and we have to understand that Kelly is notorious for this, and he does it all the time, where he misleads the public, from the beginning. And when you do that, right, already in Harlem, right, the sentiment is, against the police is a very bad one. And when you as the commissioner habitually, right, give false and misleading statements, and if I might add, lie, right, and you're the commissioner, how do you expect your cops to act? When you're the commissioner and you can do this and get away with it, but your cops can't.
Well, I'm going to start by first saying condolence to the Edwards family. That I'm not against the police. I'm for police, proper police procedures. We all are. But one will say condolences to the family, but I also have somewhat of a different spin on this here, which is our community that gets outraged every time a white cop shoot a black cop, shoot somebody black. Whether unarmed or armed, is always an outrage. We can fire up the community for when a white cop shoots somebody. But now, was there procedures that should not have happened with Officer Edwards? Shouldn't he have done something different with him running down the block, possibly with a gun in his hand?
There's something that most people don't know is that Officer Edwards had his cell phone with him.
And he called.
And he called 911. Somehow that call got lost, whether in between the repeaters up on 2nd Avenue or whatever, but he did make that call. Procedurally, he did make the attempt to contact Communications Division to notify them that he was in pursuit. Everything is always about, well, we're going to retrain people, the tactics and procedures. A lot of policing comes down to basic common sense, your personal character, and respect for human life. That's what it comes down to. That's what it was for me. You see, you can have all the training and all the skill in weapons and other tactics, but if you don't have a character which is based on some moral platform, all of that training will not be able to be sustained if you don't have character. What these officers could have done, and remember we had a sergeant and 2 officers. They said that Edwards turned to his left. He was shot from his rear. He turned to his left towards the sergeant and the other officer. Evidently, one of them must have said police. And keep in mind, it's around 10:30 at night. He's in pursuit of a guy. Initially, he doesn't know who's talking to him. This could have been the friend of the guy that he was chasing. And that happens. What the officers could have done as they rolled up on the scene, they could have put their lights on. They could have hit the siren, so at least Edwards would know that there are police here. They have a PA system on the car. They could have spoke into the microphone. All right, everybody freeze, hold it, stop. They could have done something like that. None of that happened. They roll up. When Edwards is spoken to, he now turns to his left. Now, the 2 officers who were to his left, even though he had his weapon, they did not perceive a deadly threat from Edwards. Because had they perceived...
His partners.
No, they weren't his partners.
Okay.
But as he turned, okay, they didn't fire on him. If Edwards was going to shoot, the 2 people who stood most likely to get shot were those 2 officers, the sergeant and the other officer. Neither of them fired. The fellow who was behind Edwards, who could not even see where his gun was pointed, is the one that shot him in the back.
I would like for you to, for our audience, for people to get a better view of what you said, I would like for you to explain it again.
Okay, let's say this is Officer Edwards, and this is the building here. So Officer Edwards is on the sidewalk. 2 officers, according to the diagram, are here. The fella that fired the shots is out here in the street. The car is in the street. So the fella that shot Dobson, or Dotson, whatever his name is, he gets out of the car, comes around the front of the car. When they call to Edwards, Edwards turns in this direction to the sergeant and the other police officer. He fires at Edwards and shoots him in the back. Definitely once, maybe twice. So Edwards never sees this guy. But these officers standing here, as he's turning towards them, they did not fire. And if I am standing here and you're standing behind me, you don't know where my weapon is aimed. There's no way in the world you can tell. So as I turned, I could have turned my body, but the weapon could have been pointed forward. It could have been pointed at the ground. It could have been pointed anywhere. But he had no idea as to where the weapon was pointed. The 2 officers, the sergeant and the officer who was with him, they did not perceive a threat against their lives, and they did not fire.